and good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're coming in from today. It's really lovely to see you here. And I'd like to welcome everybody to our 20-second holding space for self and others. Whether you're watching this live with us this evening or whether you're watching the recording later, you are most welcome here. My name is Jackie Short. I'm the Clinical Director of Sydney Centre for Creative Change. And these free webinars are ones that we've been running for about a year now, and we've got a very exciting one for you this evening. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands that I come to you from tonight before we start, the Eora people of the Gadigal Nation, and pay our collective respects to elders past, present and emerging. And then a special welcome to our Indigenous brothers and sisters who might be with us here tonight. And a welcome to everyone from around the world. We have an international group with us tonight, which is wonderful. By way of introduction, could I ask that you type into the chat box where you're coming from tonight? I know we have a lot of people from Australia, but we also have, because we have our Ukrainian guest tonight, Katerina Bolshakova, we have some international guests from that part of the world as well. So if you could pop into the chat where you're from and have a good look where others are coming from as well. It's really lovely. I know some of you are able to have your cameras on, which is great to be able to see you. And some of you are listening in. So either way, it's really lovely to have you here. I'm going to now welcome our guest this evening. I'll put up some slides a little bit later for you. And our guest tonight is Katerina Bolshakova. Some of you might know of her Stones for Therapy. She has been working in this space for quite a number of years. She's both a psychologist and an artist. And I'd like you to join me in virtually welcoming her, whatever way you'd like to the space tonight. So welcome, Katerina. Really lovely to have you here.
Hello, I'm really very happy to hear from you and to see you all. And I'm Katerina Bolshakova from Ukraine. I'm a therapist. I work a lot with trauma. And also I am a teacher of art, and I'm a painter, an artist. So first of all, I would like to apologize for my English, because I know that it's too simple. In my native language, I am more talkative and I have more interesting words, but I hope you will understand me well. So I'm very thankful that you invited me for this wonderful meeting, and I'm very appreciate that some of you already know my stones, and they can help you in your work with people. First of all, I would like to introduce myself a little bit. I'm 42. I was born in Ukraine, in the south of Ukraine. When I was 9, my mama put me to art in school of painting. So I have small, not so high education of painting, and in 1993, I became a teacher of painting and also of English language. So I started to work with children for many years, and mostly I work with children were from the damaged families, and also I was working in boarding school. And I noticed that art makes some miracles with the people, with the children, with their feeling and understanding around in the world. And in 1999, I find an interesting article about art therapy, which helped a lot of children from Chechnya. They were refugees from Chechnya. And so the art can help people to be healed. It was the first in 1999 when I met that, and I noticed that arts, that the paintings can heal the people, and it was my dream. A little bit later, in 2010, I entered the university as a psychologist, so I had master's of degree, and also I was studying in University of Regent University from the USA. We have some like a filial in Kiev, in our capital. So I was studying to work with drama. And to paint in stones starts from my big love to sandtray, and also I started to use sandtray in my work to work with children, adults, and especially working with trauma. And since this time, last 4 years, we have a war in Ukraine. So I also started to use these stones working with militaries and with the family of military, with soldiers who were in the war. I think I will put the PowerPoint presentation, and it will be a little bit easier for me, maybe for you, to understand and to present you what I am doing. Okay. So I use stones, and when I noticed how it starts, we know that all of us who works with Sandray, who was to start to work with Sandray, our office became like a museum of a lot of collections of different plastic figures. So I started to do it also. But one day it happened that my best friend, my teacher, Lisa Ramsley, she forgot the plastic figures at home. Not forgot, just couldn't take it to our session. So we had an idea to paint some symbols like flowers or something else on the white stones to make a sand tray for students. And we noticed that many students started to choose mostly stones, but not the plastic figures. At the same time, I had a course with trauma abusing with women, for women. So in the next night, I started to paint a collection on the stones, what the women feel during they were abusing and which trauma they have. So I noticed that stones, they really makes a very strong effect. And I started to think why it's happened. So I noticed that they really have like a natural power, and they are very pleasant when we touch the stone. So we can heat it, or we can instead calm it. And I didn't understand first why all my clients stopped to use plastic figures and always choose the stones. And they understood that during they are taking some stones and see, for example, some trauma picture on this stone, they have several thoughts. For the first, for example, if they see some maybe suicide thoughts, they think that somebody else also had the same, and the person had the same feeling, and this person painted this feeling on the stones. It means that this person is still alive, and she is so healed that she can share this on the stones. She can represent, this person can represent this. To share with this. Maybe because of this, they are so powerful. Maybe you will later also will tell me why especially stones, not cards, are so strong. Because I had several times some suggestion or proposition to paint the cards, like metaphoric cards, for my work, but I noticed that the picture on the paper, they are not so strong effective. So how can we use the stones? I will tell you about my personal experience, how we can use them. And also during 3 years, I already painted stones during 3 years, and the people all over the world in 29 countries are using these stones for themselves. So now I am collecting the feedbacks how the people use the stones in their practice. For example, I did not work with addiction, but I painted a lot of addiction stones for my colleagues. And also I don't work with dissociation, but I painted also a series of a set of stones for this. I will share you personally my experience. So we can use them in storytell. We can see many symbols. It helps children and the people to tell their own story. Also, I painted the stones for drama. For maybe you know Sue Jennings. I painted stones also for her. She used them in drama therapy, but not me. I don't use them in drama therapy, but I use in fairy tale therapy. This is the pictures from the Russian and Ukrainian fairy tales. I mostly use stones to work with trauma. And that's why I have a lot of them with trauma, which represent. And it's happened that from my early beginning, from my childhood, I had such a gift to put emotions in the simple pictures, in the simple images. You can look and you can notice that many of them have not any emotions on the faces because our client should put their own emotion on these stones. You can see the stones with the soldiers. I have some which I painted myself, and also my son was painted. The stones, I will tell about him a little bit later. So I use stones also in sand plate therapy and in MDR also. You can look some stones on Marshall Miniatures shop. He used also them and sent for others who likes to have his month's box. MDR. It's interesting how I use them in MDR, but there is not so much time now to express this. I will not say how the methodology, how I do it, but I use it. I can do it maybe some in other hours, some other meeting. During the COVID time, we were very stressed, all of us, all over the world. So I suggested to my clients to paint stones by themselves. So they bought the stones or took the paper who hadn't stones, and we started to write the good words and put it together with the stones. So you can see the effectiveness of this, of combine the image and the words. One day, and this therapy became like my self-care and working with trauma. I made this slide to share with you. When my father was died, it was more than 3 years ago. I was very depressed, very stressful situation. So I was painting the stones to remember him. But the stones, they were not so stressful and not bad feeling, but I would like to present it all our the best moments which we had together with him. And during 3 nights I was painting and crying, and it helps me to go through this difficult period. So this slide I put just to present it for you, that you can suggest to your clients to go also through this difficult time of trauma. and also can show you that these stones can be used with a kind of self-care. The stones of my son. He was in the war twice, and when he came back home, he was really in a very not good condition, if you understand, because he saw a lot of difficult and stressful moment there. So I suggested him to paint his own stones, and it became the new collection in our work. He told me that I can use it for others. But first of all, it was his own therapy, and later, several months ago, he told that, of course, you can use it for others if it helps people. So these stones became very popular here in Ukraine now, because you know that we have a war with Russia. Also, stones can be used like a resource, stones of resource. In these stones, we can paint the things which makes us stronger. For example, in this stone, we can see that this lady who painted the stones, they thought that her resource is the relationship with God, presence, and the sea, and doing sports or painting. So this makes we can make the stone of resource also on one of the session. Sometimes the people are so interested of the stones, they cannot put it and give me back the stones, and they need to present them the stones because it makes them so happy. When I'm painting stones for other people and they choose the pebbles which they would like to have in their collection, they mostly choose a lot of trauma stones. But I always say that we must have half of trauma stones and half of positive stones to make people not just to open them and see the bad things, but also to make a solution for themselves. That's why stones of resource is very helpful for them. It's also stones of resource, some other view. Some people like to use the energy of wind, water. For others, the family, the tree of life or family tree is also very strong resource. This stone is very popular because it represents self-hug, self-love. Also, this stone is very popular because it represents the self-care, and also this one. Here, I started to paint stones, and one teacher from USA suggested me to make a Facebook group. So I made it, and the name Stones for Therapy from Ukraine. And now these small points, you can see where my stones is, and a lot of them in Australia also, and in New Zealand. And the most interesting that some of in Japan and also in the island Mauritius. It's so nice to see the stones in Alaska and everywhere. So I'm so excited of this, that some people think that I'm just a painter of stones, but no, I'm a therapist. I work with people a lot, but I'm so involved in this process of painting for others because I'm so exciting to know that my work, what I'm doing by my hands, can help and heal people. In it, and that I became like a partner to help people be healed. It's so exciting that I'm mostly painting in the nights, but I gladly paint for my friends and colleagues because I like it to know that the stones can help somebody else. Now we have 29 countries here, 27, but we have 29 countries where our stones are now. There is the workshop of Marshall Lines from USA, and also this is the album of my stones on my Facebook group, where like in categories, and you can choose any you like. And this is reviews and feedbacks from the person who used the stones, and this encouraged me a lot. So we can see here from Great Britain, Canada, and USA, and the other countries also. So you can look at on my Facebook group how the people show their stones. I like also this picture. My office was also look a little bit like this, where I have a lot of figures, but unfortunately down they are mostly in the dust, because I have very many stones, near 500 stones, different images I have on my in my office. And of course, when I know that I have meeting with children, I take out some stones, not to make them stressful. So I really prepare. I have bags and some baskets with different kind of stones. So I regulate this the process a little bit. So there is the links. Where can you find me? And in Instagram, and I have YouTube channel also, and my Facebook group. So I would like to say the last one, that during the COVID time we cannot to meet our clients more close, like live. We work mostly with online. So I made a book, a small book for them, a book for painting. It has like demonstration. Okay.
Katerina, it might be, have you finished your slides? It might be better to stop sharing so we can see your book properly.
Okay, yes, I see. Okay. Demonstration. Okay. I want just to show you the picture, which are in the beginning of my small book. Here we can see the dark, destroyed place, like inside the house, and we can see broken chair and the car. And then the person go out from this black room to the seaside with the rainbow, like a rainbow wave. So how look like this book? It looks, I painted all my pictures, all my images here, and the clients can color it with their own color. And for example, I would like you to show you just an example. There is a trunk cut in three, and there is a list of questions in Russian now, but I'm working to do it in English if you need it, of course. So I would like to hear your feedbacks. Is it necessary to make it in English, or maybe some of you will help me a little bit to translate it better, because I translate in English, but I need to check some mistakes and correct it. So just if you can to help me, I would like to be helped by you. So for example, here we can see the trunk, yes, and a lot of questions. What do you feel when you see the trunk? What's happened with you? What does it mean? And as many questions as we can to ask our client, so it can paint it, and then can add any symbols here. But it's not finished, because we have the next step. We can see the same trunk, but with the small branch. So, and here is also the list of questions. What does it mean, this branch? How it's happened that it starts to grow, and also the client can add as more as possible the symbols it has. So I have here in the beginning, I have some recommendation for the person who painted this, and also for the therapist. How can we put in which situation this book for others? And of course, if we don't send this book personally in paper, I have electronic variant in Word. Как это сказать?
A Word document.
Yes. Thank you very much. And it looks like this, so the client can just print it and paint it according and using your recommendation. It's great, of course, if it can paint these pictures, if he can paint, and you can look how does he feel himself. For example, this is the bag. What does this bag mean for this person? And this is the same bag. How now does this person feel? For example, this one, if I, yes, and that one also, if I. So we can see the changing. Let's work with, I do with stones. We can do with paper, and they can color it. No exit, and there is also no exit, but we can see some person appeared. Who is this person who show with the where is the exit? So this helper, this I have in electronic variant, so I can suggest for my clients to paint it, and it works good because they like to paint, especially they have a lot of time at home, sitting at home, and they like to express then what they feel. Sometimes they can type this by dictaphone and send me the voice messages. It also works very, very good. And also I have an interesting idea. I think I have a video. I can send you a link. This is the bags of feelings. And many clients like to work with this. And I can show you a little bit in the video now, if you will make the demonstration of, I can find it. Yes, you can hear, you can see the bags of feelings. And the person can open it. First, he feel what's happened. It feels that something is inside, and it becomes curious what is there inside. Then the person opens the bags of feelings, and she sees a lot of feelings in it. And the reason is that when the feelings are in the bag, they are not visible, but we can feel it because they have the weight, they have some noises. If we start to check our bag, they feel that they really have something inside, but they didn't see what is it. But when the person are open this bag, they start to understand that there are feelings in it. Then they represent their heart if they have possibility, so they feel that this is heart, and they start to choose the feelings which they have in their heart. For example, like this. Then you can ask as many questions as you want, or maybe the client can keep silent several minutes just to feel what they have in their heart. And then it's interesting here that they start to count how many feelings do they feel inside their heart just now. And they often very surprised that they have such many feelings. For example, 7 on this video. And then they start to, they just put these feelings in the hands and thinking about it, that these feelings, it's a real treasure, even if they are not sometimes good or pleasant, but there is the treasure. And the stones, the touching the stones makes really miracle in these exercises, because they feel that they have feelings. Next time we turn the back and we see the body, and we put the stones in any part of body where they feel it. And they start to tell the story. In the end, we can ask client as many questions as you want. For example, which thoughts came to him, how does he feel, what he would like to change. So this video I have on my YouTube channel, but it is in Russian, but I also have prescription writing in English. So if you want, I can very easy to share with you. Later, the clients like to have such kind of feelings at home, to have, to play with children and with others with whom they would like. So it became like a playing game for them also. Or you can start different languages with children with this back also. So I tried to represent my work with the stones, and I can tell you and speak a lot about this, and especially how to use in different kinds of therapy, but I think we need a lot of time for this. So for now, I would like to say thank you very much for your attention. And I would like also to see and to hear your questions, and if I will try to answer them. And I think it's enough for now, because I know that I lost something interesting for sure, but I'm a little bit nervous and not feel myself very good in my speaking language, English. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Katerina, for that really interesting presentation on your history, where you've come from, how you've been inspired to use your artistic background and talent in the service of the psychology practice that you run, and some really practical ways that you use it across a range of different methods. And I'm sure there's a lot of questions that people here have. I know I still have questions of you, and I'd like to offer you an opportunity now, should you want to ask Katerina a question about any of her work or her stones, to just pop it in the chat and I'll read it out for her, because I know she's happy to be here with us for the next half an hour or so, as we do some exercises to reflect on this. But if you do have questions, please do just pop them in the chat box now and I can read them out. I also agree, Em, that Katerina, your English is excellent, given I know it's at least a third language for you. So thank you so much for presenting to such a large group tonight, and in a language that you're not so familiar with. But you're very clear, and your slides were wonderful to be able to see a lot of those beautiful images. I know some of you would have some of Katerina's stones, and we might do an exercise later to share some of those, maybe some of your favourite ones that you'd like. So there's a question here, I think, or maybe a comment from Louise. Using with grief or loss of a parent, can you suggest maybe any ways, Katerina, that stones could be used in therapy for grief work?
It was a question.
Yes, the question is for people, and I think maybe your own example when you lost your father 3 years ago, and painting the stones over those 3 nights helped you through crying and remembering positive times you had with him, as was reflected in your images. So you have an experience of working around grief with these stones for therapy. What would you suggest to counsellors who are working with clients with grief? How could stones help them?
There are different ways how can we use them, but I will tell you one story. When one boy has lost his mother because of cancer, and he came several times to the therapist and didn't say nothing. And it's happened that this lady got the stones from me, and so the next time when this boy came, she just put the stones on the table, and he starts to play but he kept the silence still. And then he took 4 stones, which retell his story. It was pain, died, and then he saw the stones when the angel are sitting on the branch above the city. And from this, he starts to speak, and he starts to tell his story. What does he feel? Of course, we can use them with the stones in sand tray, go through the grief also. So we can also paint as good things of the person who we lost, and also his own feeling. What does he feel? And we live close to the sea. I know Australia also has the ocean around your land. So sometimes we like to go to the sea and just throw away to the water some stones which we don't like to have. And also we like to paint a lot of different kind of hearts. It's very good to see how the person make better and better pictures. I mean, better, like more good and kind for themselves. And also you notice that these symbols are very, very simple. There is several reasons. For the first, of course, I have a lot of other stones which are my self-care. For the first, you can see them a lot of on my YouTube channel, like stones with decoration for the garden. They are more detailed, so I can paint stones professionally and detailed, but we don't need it to do for the stones for sure, because when the person, our client, can see that the symbol can be very simple, it can start to paint the stones himself. It is the main point. And when they are painting stones, of course I can help a little bit if they need to do it, but the emotion, they paint emotion different. They own emotion on the faces. And I can look that session by session. For example, it can take just 15 or 20 minutes during the session when they are painting. I can see that the faces and emotions are changing. So we can use it very good in during the grief time. The main secret of stones that they are touchable. We can touch it, we can keep it, we can throw it away, we can present it. They have some natural power, some magic power, just simple stone. I don't know why, but I'm really surprised that it works so strong.
Thank you. I think that's a lovely answer that probably answers some of the other questions that have come through already. There was a question about practically what colouring material do you use to paint the stone?
Oh, thank you. Very good question. I use acrylic paints, simple acrylic paints. But there are several kinds of paints. You should choose your own, which would you like, because acrylic can be in different different kind of acrylic. But my paints not so expensive, but I find which are the best for me. It's acrylic paints. First, I buy the stone. It's Greek marble from Greece, because I always joking that many people think if I'm living close to the sea, I just go in the morning and gathering the stones for myself. But I say always, you know that my sea is Black Sea, and it didn't bring me the white stones. It's just a joke, yeah. So I need to buy marble from Greece because it's white, and it's very simple to paint on it because it's really white and all colors can be bright. Yellow is yellow, orange is orange. And if someone tried to paint on a gray or brown stones, you understand that first you should cover it with something white. But this marble stones, they are not so cheap, but it's wonderful to paint on it because it's like a white sheet of paper. And I use very thin brushes, which I used for making nails, painting on the nails. You see, something. They are very thin. And later, I cover it with a special polish, and it should dry. And then you can clean it. You can put it in the water or use the disinfection or some spirit for this, because we know that we must now be very careful and clean it before the next client or from time to time. So it is possible because they are water resist. But of course, I would not like to put them for several hours in the water. I think you must be we must be more careful for these stones.
I think so. I think so. Thank you. We have a whole range of questions coming through, and we won't be able to get through all of them, and particularly the very specific ones that are more case consultation. I'll leave you to make independent contact with Katerina if you'd like some specific feedback about how much they cost, how you can order them from her, how you can give credit to her should you want to use some of these ideas of hers as well, because she has not only the stones, but as you know, the bags, and now this lovely book that comes out as well. So I know there's a lot of people who would like to be in contact with you about knowing how to purchase some of these, and to also ask you specific questions maybe about application. So we might leave some of the questions in, we can revisit some again in a moment. But what I'd like to give is everyone an opportunity for maybe 5 or 6 minutes in small groups to reflect on this presentation and to think about the work you're currently doing with children, with adults, with families, in groups, regardless of what your training is or where you're working, what areas you specialise in. I think this has applications for so many people. And it would be lovely to hear you share, or have you share with others about what you've taken away and how you might be able to apply some of these ideas in your work.
Hi, I'm Miranda.
Miranda, welcome.
I'm from Melbourne. I think what I got from what Katerina was saying is, and what we were discussing with the other group that I was in, it's more about having the stones and working with them yourself and just getting a feel of them, just to know how you would be working with your client. And I think really looking at each, like if you're having whatever stones you buy, whether it's to do with trauma or if it's to do with feelings. So I think each bag, and I think that's what she's got sort of each bag of different stones. And really, as a therapist, just really working with them first yourself. And then I think having a better understanding of how that would feel for the client. That what I would take away from that.
Lovely. Thanks, Miranda, for sharing. That's wonderful. Anyone else like to reflect on how they could use these stones, or if you're already using them, some other application you might have in a particular setting?
I will. I work with under fives, and we were saying in our small chat group that one of the things that the children are really drawn to is the colour. Often I'll find that they'll pick up the stones and they will look at the colour rather than what the diagram is on the stone first, and then they start to associate with the picture that's on the stone. So they're picking them up, and it's that connection to that. You know, you can actually see them connect through their touch and you know, the warmth the stone brings, or the coldness, whatever it is, depending upon that child's feelings at the time.
That's a great application. Thanks, Martina. There is something very visceral and very sensory about using a material that's a natural material and that is full of vibrant colour. So I think that's a great application for younger children. And I think that could potentially apply to people who might be nonverbal, or people whose language isn't necessarily your language, that we can help people communicate in ways that aren't necessarily about words or even about particular images, although they are so evocative, the ones that Katarina's got on her stones. So thank you for those sharings. And I hope you had a good experience getting to know a couple of other people in this exercise as well. Just want to briefly share some slides with you about what we've got coming up, because we have a couple of other free webinars like this one. We have another one coming up next month. So we're doing these every month. As you would have seen on our website, we've got a range of them that you can watch on demand and do a quick quiz and get a certificate potentially for, if that's important for your professional development. The one we have next month is on the 16th of April, 11 to 12 Australian Eastern Standard Time at Sydney time. And we're going to hear about 3 brain facts that will help you communicate like a pro. So that will be interesting. If you'd like to register for that, you can do so online at the moment. We also have a drama therapy for people with dementia webinar coming up tomorrow night. That's our next one. We have art therapy for adult mental health webinar. That's another paid one for $40 coming up the following Monday night. And what I'd like to do now is to do a little exercise and give one person here the chance to win another one of our live webinars coming up this Wednesday night at this same time, 7 to 8:30, a bit later. It's normally $40, but I'm going to give this to someone for free in a moment. Some of you might know Sue Jennings, and Katarina mentioned that she's painted a lot of stones for Sue's drama therapy work. And Sue's giving a webinar for us, a live one, on Moose and Mouse, a beautiful collection of storybooks that she's written on attachment, empathy and resilience. So if you'd like to attend that, you can purchase it, but you might even be lucky enough to win it in a moment. And after we do that, I'm going to do a very quick quiz. And if you are successful at that quiz, if you've been here the whole time, you should be able to be successful. You will be able to get a PD certificate sent to you. Katarina, would you like the final word tonight? Would you like to do any final reflection on your presentation tonight and finish us off?
Thank you very much. I want to thank you because it was a wonderful meeting, and I'm very, very excited that I was with you. And I'm for sure encouraged a lot after this meeting. And if you have any questions, how to use them, how to paint them, I can make a video, you can write me personal, and I will answer the questions, any of you, because I know the stones are very useful tool for healing people. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Katarina. You can find Katarina if you're on Facebook, and I'll be sending out her link, so you can contact her directly should you be interested in purchasing any of her beautiful work. So thank you all for coming tonight, and thank you again. Please join me in thanking Katarina and her beautiful presentation. Lovely to have you here. Thank you all, and look forward to seeing you soon. Bye-bye.